everyone! I know it's been a minute since I last posted a video, and I have to be really honest with you all. The end of July was really tough for me, both mentally and emotionally, and I decided to take a step back from all of social media. I know I'm not alone when I say that all the crazy things happening recently has been really overwhelming, and I encourage anyone who is feeling this way to also take some time away from social media and the news and to just really focus on taking care of yourself. I'm feeling so much better now after my break, and now I'm back trying to catch up with all my Plan With Me videos. I definitely neglected my bullet journal during the past couple of months, but now my creative juices are flowing again, and for August I wanted to do a koi fish ponds theme because of how serene and calming and zen they look. I was really inspired by carpenoctius and yunchelle spreads, and these kois are really simple to draw. You want to make their bodies a teardrop shape, and then at the tip of the drop, you just fan it out into a tail fin. Then add some fins to the sides of the body, and to make it more realistic looking, I made the ends of the fins and tail super uneven and jagged looking. For some extra details, in the middle of the body, I added a skinny top fin, and then a couple of long wavy whiskers and little eyes. I wanted this koi fish to be around a circular border, so I used the pencil to very lightly trace out a circle shape, and then I doodled these lily pads and flowers around one side of the circle. The water lilies might look complicated, but they're really not. I start with a small circular shape for the bud, and then I draw 4 petals around it. Once you have the first 4 petals laid out, you want to layer another 4 petals around and make sure they are between the gaps of the previously drawn petals. Then you just continue adding another 4 petals, making sure each row gets bigger and bigger until you reach the size of flower that you want. Then in the center, I wrote out August using faux calligraphy, and I included a small calendar to the bottom since I had a little space left. For the colors, I kept them really simple. I used a blush pink for the flowers, a muted green for the lily pads, and to make the koi fishes look really different, I switched between 4 colors: a light pastel orange, a brighter orange, a red orange, and a black. To decorate the kois, you can just go super crazy and make their patterns as big or as small as you want. You just want to make sure that the edges aren't super clean and smooth, again keeping them more jagged looking like the ends of their fins. At the end, I thought it needed a subtle pop of blue to help tie in the pond water to the theme, so I used a very pale light blue color to add a shadow to the text and to highlight the dates of the calendar. Now moving on to the calendar spread, these boxes are 5 by 5. I wanted to make them slightly smaller so I had enough space to doodle around the page. Again, just using a simple faux calligraphy to write out the month and the dates, and I included my monthly to-do section off to the right side. Behind August, I added a bunch of lily pads and flowers as if they were like a backdrop. And then for these water ripples, I created some dotted swirly patterns using a very light hand so the dotted lines didn't look too dark. Then I added a few koi fishes around the page, along with more lily pads and water lilies. At the very bottom, I had some space to throw in a quote that says, "Swim out of your little pond," which I thought was super cute and fitting with this theme. As I colored everything in, sometimes I would add 2 to 3 layers of a color in certain areas to create a shading effect. For the flowers, I would darken either the middle or the outer ring of petals, and for the lily pads, I would trace over the lines inside them a couple of times, just so the doodles looked less flat and it brought some depth to everything. used the light blue to stripe my to-do list, outline the quote, and to highlight the dates at the top of the calendar, as well as the water ripple patterns. And I wanted to make sure that August really popped out on top of the doodles, so I used a Sakura white jelly pen to accentuate the white border around the text, and I really love how this turned out. Here you can see the different patterns I'm using for my kois. I like the look of when you combine a couple of different colors together, but if you need some inspiration, you can just look up some pictures of real koi fishes and use that as a reference. Next we have our trackers. To match the circular border I used for my cover page, I decided to go with a circular layout for my mood tracker. I doodled some lily pads and water ripples around the page, and I added 2 big koi fishes circling around the actual tracker part. In the middle of the tracker, I added a big water lily, and trying to divide this out into 31 different sections is pretty tough, and they did not turn out evenly at all, but I just had to roll with it. And for my mood colors, I just used the 4 different markers I've been using for my koi fish patterns. Then for my habit tracker, I wanted to keep it super simple and less cluttered. I outlined 6 calendar shapes down the page and threw in some lily pads, flowers, and water ripples around, and just colored everything in. At the end, I decided to add some drop shadows to the calendar shapes, and I'm not the best at drop shadows, so these ended up looking a little wonky. I don't know if it's just me that thinks so, but if you have any tips or tricks on how to make drop shadows look better, then please let me know and help your girl out. And now getting to the weekly spreads, since this month started on a Saturday, I had to go with this layout. It is perfect for when you need to include more than 7 days on a single spread. Each writing section is an 8x10 rectangle, and I just divide the weekend box in half since I don't need as much writing space for those days. The last box is reserved as a note section, and I had a little extra empty space at the bottom, so I threw in another quote that says, "Serenity comes when you trade expectations for acceptance." Then I added my doodles around the page, layering the lily pads and flowers a little on top of the boxes, while I kept the water ripples behind to create some depth and dimension. I used the lightest orange color to write out the dates and the black for the numbers, and I matched those colors to my little koi doodle as well to tie everything in. For the weekly spread, I added doodles down the page, making sure to keep them super random and different from each other. Then with my Micron pen, I wrote out the dates right on top of the doodles, and I used this fun serif font style for the days of the week off to the side. For a bit of separation for each writing section, I just used the light blue marker to create a border. And finally, I decided to combine the last 2 weekly spreads together. This layout is great because you only have to come up with one design for both weeks. From the center seam, I counted out 8 squares to the left and to the right, and drew a border line from top to bottom. Then I used my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen to write out the dates on both the left and the right side. For the 3rd week, I was able to fit in a note section, but I couldn't for the last week since it had 1 extra day. I used my Sakura white jelly roll pen to write the numbers on top of the black circles, and then I just added my doodles to the middle of the spread. You want to try and make the kois swim in different directions and have some more curve than others so it looks more natural, and just have fun with all of their patterns. After I was done with all of my spreads, I thought there was too much empty space around the doodles. I didn't want to do anything too drastic, so I just used the green marker and added some dots around each page. I kept the bigger dots more concentrated right by the lily pads and sprinkled the smaller dots outwards, and I think this almost looks like algae you'd see in like an actual pond, so I'm really happy with my decision in the end. And that is it for my August plan with me. Again, I'm really sorry for not uploading last month, and I do appreciate you all for understanding. I have my September and October spreads planned already, so please keep an eye out for those as I continue to catch up this month. And as always, if you decide to recreate any of these spreads, please tag me on Instagram at AFCXX3. Seeing your spreads honestly makes me so happy, and I love them all. Please stay safe and healthy, and I will see you all next time. Bye!